Good morning. Thank you for joining me this morning. If you could give me a thumbs up and just let me know that you can hear me, I'd be grateful. Thank you. Thanks, Emma. That's great. Super. So, good morning. So I plan each week. On the Thursday, and so last week I had lesson plans for Tuesday and for Thursday, and then I did for this week, and then I taught on Tuesday, without realizing it, did Thursday's lesson plan. And then I rewrote out all of the descriptions, and now I've completely forgotten what I was supposed to teach on Tuesday. So I'm actually going to teach something that I planned to teach next week. So we find ourselves in a a nationally or internationally imposed pause. And I'm reminded of the second verse of Patanjali Yoga Sutras, and he says that yogas chittas vritti nirodha. And yoga is the suspension from the waves of the mind, or that is one of the definitions. And that word nirodha can be either a suspension, a pause, or a cessation of thought, or chitta vrittis. And very often we go away, we invest heavily in going away on retreats to beautiful places like La Source. Michael is joining us from there. And I encourage participants to press pause on life and to come away with me on retreat. And suddenly we find ourselves in this self-imposed retreat where we're being asked to pause and drop into being present in this moment. And there's an element of trust here. We've done this practice, this yoga practice, for so long, for moments like this, for moments of crisis, for moments of boredom, for moments of delight. You know, all of this has led us to a place where we have practiced regularly dropping into the present moment and seeing what occurs there. So we're going to talk a lot about pausing today. So we'll begin on your back, please. Bend your knees, take your feet quite wide apart on the mat and drop your knees in towards each other. Take one hand to your belly and one hand to your heart. Lengthen through the back of your neck and let your head feel heavy on the earth. And we drop into the sensations of the support of the ground beneath your feet, beneath your sacrum, elbows, upper back, back of head. And then we drop into the sensations of the breath. Beginning to invite the breath to deepen. Noticing the belly swelling up into the hand. And slowing the sensation of breath, out breath down. As you slow the out breath down, enjoying the sensation of the tummy relaxing down towards the spine. And it may well be that your out breath becomes almost twice as long as your in breath, but there's no forcing or straining. And what you'll come to notice is at the very bottom of each out breath and at the top of each in breath, there is a momentary natural pause. A moment where active breath is suspended in either a state of fullness or a state of emptiness. And for a moment before the mind drops in to qualify that, there is just a moment of cessation, suspension of doing. And we notice our relationship with that. And in this way, we are beginning to practice pausing, waking up to being here. Stay with this work. This is the gateway of your breath. At the dawn of time, through the darkness and silence of the universe, the first breath was heard. It reached across infinity and breathed life into the first vestiges of humanity, carrying the eternal spark of divinity. It filled all of life with hope and purpose. Watch your body breathe and see the planet breathe. Each exhalation leading to sacred renewal. Each inhalation leading to rebirth. Take a deep breath in and breathe out and roll your chin towards your right shoulder. Inhaling to the center and exhaling, rolling the chin to the left shoulder. Inhale, center. Breathe out to the right. Inhale, center. And breathe out to the left. And inhale the head back to the middle. Inhale, float your arms up towards the sky. And exhale, take the arms behind you. Relax the backs of the hands on the earth behind you. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, stretch the right leg down the mat. Reach from your heel into your fingertips. Point through into your toes. And then relax. Take a deep breath in. And breathe out, stretch your left leg away from you. Stretch from your fingertips through into your heel. Point through into your toes. And then relax. A deep breath in. And breathing out, give the whole of your body a lovely stretch. And then relax. Slide your heels up the mat towards you. Take your hands to your knees and roll your knees in a circle. Just feel yourself freeing up your lower back. And change direction. And then come to stillness. Squeeze your knees lightly together. Bring your arms beside your body with your palms facing down. And press your lower back into the earth. Take a breath in, head heavy. And as you exhale, slowly take the toes down to kiss the floor behind your bottom. Inhaling, bringing the knees in towards the chest. Exhaling, toes come down to kiss the floor behind the bottom. Inhaling, knees in towards the chest. A few more of these. And if you're feeling strong and the back can stay easily on the floor, then take your heels a bit further away from your bottom. Maintaining that hollowing of your abdomen. And then come up. Bring your shins and your thighs to 90 degrees with each other. Press your lower back down. Keep the left leg up, and as you exhale, take the right toes down to kiss the floor. Inhale up, and we'll stay with the right hand side 4 more times. Moving slowly. Last one. And then the right knee comes up, right knee over the hip, press the lower back down. Inhale. And as you exhale, take the left toes down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. A few more. Last one. And exhale and slowly take both feet to the floor behind your bottom, feet hip distance apart and parallel. Spread your toes wide. Take a deep breath in. Exhale and roll your pubic bone in towards your belly button and float your spine off the mat bone by bone. Come to the top, take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, keep the hips high for as long as you can as you slowly lower your spine back down. Eventually, sacrum comes down. And then we'll pause at the bottom, taking a breath in. And as you exhale, scooping the lower belly in and up, pushing down through the heels, floating the hips high. Inhaling at the top and exhaling slowly down. Mindfully trying to come down vertebra by vertebra. Pause at the bottom, take a deep breath in. And exhale, curl and lift the spine. Now keep your hips lifted. Lift your head off the floor and then exhale down. Hips stay lifted. Exhale, roll your chin to the right shoulder. Inhale up. Exhale, chin to the left shoulder. Inhale up. And exhale slowly down. Press your lower back into the floor and float your heart off the mat, float your hands off the mat. And as you exhale, come and touch your right ankle. Inhale back to the center. Exhale, touch your left ankle. Inhale back to the center. Just keep working with this from side to side. Last time, each side. And then exhale slowly down. Relax your arms. Once again, take a deep breath in. Exhale, take your right chin to your right shoulder. Inhale, center. Breathe out to the left shoulder. Inhale, center. Slide your hands behind your knees and inhale and roll up to sitting. And let's cross the ankles and roll over onto the hands and the knees. And just turn your hands round so that your fingertips are pointing back towards your knees or as far back as you can get them. And just roll through your forearms for a moment. And then go the other way. And then come to stillness. Hands turn round. Spread your fingers wide. Turn your toes under. Push down through your hands. Lift your spine up between your shoulder blades. Come to neutral with your back. And then just press down through your toes and float your knees off the floor for a moment. Keep pushing the floor away through your hands. Pause. Cultivating the capacity to pause, to stay with it when it's tough. And then we'll press back to a very bent knee, downward facing dog. You might even want to take your feet a little bit wider than normal, pushing through the heels of your hands. Really lifting the sitting bones out and wide behind you. As you push from the heels of the hands up towards your sitting bones, really relax your head. That takes some conscious awareness. Because one of the things that this scenario or a retreat, a yoga retreat or a meditation retreat invites us to do is to begin to drop out of our heads, out of our identity. Our egoic mask and veils. And then slowly take the knees down to the floor. And bring your right foot over to the outside of your right hand for a moment. And perhaps roll your weight in a circle. So of course, those of you who've been with me away to do our yoga in a residential capacity, and roll your weight the other way. Know that ideally I try and choose really very beautiful places to go to. And what we find is that when we are taken to a new and different environment that is beautiful, then very often we find ourselves in many times during the day being struck into a sense of awe and delight. Pause here. Push down through your left hand and inhale and lift your right arm up towards the sky. Head back. If you want to, turn the back toe under and straighten the back leg, becoming really bright into that back leg. The back knee. Pulling the left hip forward and the heart forward. Really wide across the chest. And exhale. And release. Drop the back knee down to the floor. And come up, taking your hands on top of your knee. So every single time we are shocked by something beautiful, a beautiful flower, an amazing vista, then there is a moment of suspension, a moment where we are naturally paused and taken out of our heads and into a place of delight. But we're discovering that it's not just beauty that causes this suspension. It can also be a time of crisis. But the effect is the same. It's a moment where we are suspended and paused and gone, wow, through shock, either of beauty or of crisis or of disgusting figures that we don't want to acknowledge on what's going on. But the effect is the same. Okay, hands in front. As you inhale, open the arms wide. And as you exhale, bring the hands together and round your back and look down. Turn the palms up to face the sky. Drop forward. Inhale, open the heart, look up. Open the chest. Exhale, round your back as you bring the hands together and look down. Inhale and open. One more. And then exhale, take the hands to the mat. Right hand to the inside of the right foot. Take the right leg back. Turn your toes under, push down through your hands, lift your spine between your shoulder blades. Turn the back toes under, float the knees off the mat. Pause for a moment. Cultivating our capacity to pause, to suspend the stories around the discomfort. The stories around the challenge. And then float back to the dog face down. And this time you might want to investigate straightening your legs. Keep extending from the inner elbow into the index finger. Keep letting the head go. And really breathe deeply, savoring the moment of fullness and then riding the breath down through the journey towards emptiness. And we'll come high on the tippy toes. And exhale, take the knees down to the floor and bring your left foot to the outside of your left hand and roll the weight in a circle. So whatever it is that causes us to pause, to stop, to go, wow, is a moment of waking up, of dropping out of our own stories that we tell ourselves about who we are and what we do. Change direction. And waking up into the present moment. And all of this yoga practice, yoga's chitta svriti nirodha. Yoga is that which stills the waves of the mind. All of this is practice for that. Practice in trusting the process. Come to stillness. Push down through your right hand. Come forward through your hips. And stretch your chest wide, lifting up into the left hand. And the head comes back and the left hip surges forward. Turn your back toes under. If you want to, straighten the back leg, but you don't have to. And then it's a real savoring of openness. You could even take that left arm even further back so that you get a wider stretch, as wide a stretch as is comfortable for you across your chest. And you drop into the sensations and you let them anchor you in the present moment. Inhale and exhale and come down, left hand down to the floor, back knee to the earth, and come up, sinking forward through your left hip. Taking the hands up. Inhale, open the arms wide, palms face up, chest opens. Exhale, round and look down. Inhale, open. Exhale. A few more. One more. And then we'll take the hands down to the mat, left hand on the inside of the left foot. And step back onto the hands and the knees. Spread your fingers wide. Push down through your hands, lift your spine up between your shoulder blades. Find the neutral spine. Tone the pelvic floor at the bottom of each out breath. And then turning the toes under, float the knees just off the mat, just a centimetre or so. And then we'll press back to the dog face down. And press pause. And then we'll inhale and come forward into a press-up position. Now you can either work with this with the knees lightly on the mat, but keep the shoulders over the wrists, or you can stay in the press-up position. Look just in front of your hands and try not to banana. You're going to inhale, and as you exhale, bring your right knee to touch your right elbow and back. Exhale, left knee to left elbow. Inhale back. Exhale right. Inhale back. This can be done with the knees on the floor. A few more each side. One more each side. And then gently lie down on the floor. Take one hand on top of the other hand under your forehead. And just roll your hips lightly from side to side. And of course, when life is suspended, normal existence is suspended, whether it's through the measures we find ourselves in now, or whether it's because we've gone away on silent retreat, or whatever it is we've done, or gone for a long walk for many weeks on our own. When we take ourselves and we isolate ourselves, then of course, the question of who am I arises for us. Who am I when I am isolated away from my friends and my family? Who am I when my job is taken from me temporarily or permanently? And this whole realization of impermanence begins to be realized by us. And that realization, those questions can have their own anxieties attached to them. And there's a process we go through. Okay, so let's take the arms out beside us, the elbows at shoulder height and the forearms at 90 degrees. Let your feet be hip distance apart and let your heels roll out, thighs heavy on the mat. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, press your thighs down into the mat, lift your gaze, and begin to lift your elbows up. And then as you exhale, slowly come down. Inhaling, thighs heavy, lift the heart, lift the arms. Exhale, come down. 3 more times. Don't strain your neck, keep your neck neutral. And then we'll come down. And just take yourself into your Sphinx. Elbows just in front of the shoulders, palms to the floor, forearms parallel with each other. And just let your thighs feel heavy, heels drop out to the sides. Get wide across your collarbones. Gaze forward, front of the throat, subtly towards the back of the neck. Anchoring the hands and pulling the heart forward. And you can stay here if that's enough, or alternatively take your hands, point them towards the outer corners of your mat or in the same direction as the outer corners of the mat, and then push into your hands and you come into the seal. Try and keep your bottom relaxed and pull on your hands lightly. There's a pull and a push, and try and move the backward bend up towards the top between the shoulder blades. Neck neutral. If it's too much, come back down onto your elbows. Please be discerning. We will be together again. I will be able to look at you do your work. In the meantime, it's just maintenance that we're doing. Physical maintenance, emotional maintenance, and spiritual maintenance. Practice for the real work off the mat. And then exhale and slowly but surely come on down. One hand on top of the other hand under your forehead. And if we've been lucky enough to have a regular yoga practice for a long time, then we have cultivated Shraddha, we have cultivated trust in the process. And we're quite happy with not knowing. It's right that we don't know. There's a lot of people who don't know at the moment the way forward. And we settle into not knowing, comfortable with it. maybe just aware of that it's the not knowing that is causing us anxiety. And once we've acknowledged that, we've accepted that, then there's work we can do with that acceptance. Take your hands behind you, clasp your fingers together. Rest your thumbs on your sacrum and peel your elbows towards each other. Feel that widening across your collarbones. Then lengthen into your knuckles. If that's too much for your shoulders, you can hold the opposite elbow. When we lengthen into the knuckles, we let the thighs feel heavy and float the heart off the mat, neck neutral, perhaps floating the hands up away from the bottom. Inhale and exhale and release. Take your hands under your shoulders and push back. Big toes together, knees come apart. Hands in front, about a third, half or a third of the way forward. Push lightly into your hands and connect your bottom more firmly down towards your heels. And lightly just pull your outer ankle towards your inner ankle. And then anchor that in place with the weight of your thigh or your bottom. Inhale. And as you exhale, thread your left arm all the way underneath you. Let the left shoulder come down to the floor. Let the left temple come down to the floor. And then the right hand can come to the back with the palm facing up. If that feels too heavy, then keep your right hand on the floor and lightly press into your right hand just to give your shoulders some space. But if you're happy here, you can then begin to slide the right hand across the small of your back towards your left waist and thread it between the envelope of your left waist and your left thigh. Take a lovely deep breath in. And breathe out, release your right hand. Take it down to the floor and press lightly through into the right hand and come back to the center. Ground your left hand, take a breath in. And on the out breath, thread the right arm all the way underneath to the left. Thread it through so the right shoulder drops towards the midline. Relax your right temple to the floor. Either keep the left hand on the floor and lightly press into it, or perhaps simply take the left hand to the small of your back with your palm facing up. And you can stay here, lightly lifting the left elbow, or you can slide the hand between thigh and waist. And as you exhale, you can drop the tongue away from the soft palate in the same way you do when you say, ah, at a moment of wonder. A moment when you are shocked out of your head, its stories, its inner dialogue, and into the moment. Deep breath in. And breathe out, release your left hand down to the floor under the shoulder. And pushing through your left hand, come back. We're going to come to your bottom. So you could rock forward into the hands, cross the ankles, and then come to sitting. Or you can come to sitting any which way suits you. So we'll just take the feet hip distance apart in front of you and feel down evenly across the ball of your foot, big toe rooting down, even between the inner and outer edge of your heel. Take your hands behind you, about 6 inches or so behind you, and drop your elbows. Not drop your elbows, bend your elbows, squeeze them towards each other and let your chest come forward. Take the front of your throat towards the back of your neck and begin to lift your gaze. And take 3 very slow, very deep, very conscious breaths right up towards the collarbones. Letting the spine move forward towards the breastbone. Inhale, look forward. Exhale and release. So just continuing this opening across your chest, I've had some requests from various folk who say that they're spending far too much time on their desk at the moment. So they're feeling really hunched. So this opening, you can take your hands together and clasp your fingers together behind you, and you rest the back of the wrist on the floor. And then puff up your chest, and maybe you can begin to walk your bottom forward. And you'll just go to your sweet spot. I have one lady I work with who can almost lie down when she does this. And then you're going to lift your heart and lift your gaze towards the ceiling. Keep a subtle bend in your elbow. You don't have to really straighten the elbows. You don't have to lock them. It can be a micro bend in your elbows. And then what you might find is that you've bought yourself a little bit of space here through your patience, and you can go forward just a little bit more. Good stuff. Inhale, look forward. And exhale and release. And very gently lie down. And roll your chin from shoulder to shoulder. So let's go into fish, which will continue this cultivating this openness across your chest. Feet hip distance apart and parallel. On your next out breath, float your bottom off the floor. And breathing normally here, take the hands underneath you, one hand on top of the other hand. Wriggle your shoulders towards each other. And breathe out and lower your back down on top of your straight arms. And slide the hands side by side, but keep them under your bottom. Extend your legs away from you, legs together. And inhale and sit up and look at your toes. Exhale, shift the heart towards the sky and come up onto the crown of the head. Now don't just loll back, keep lightly pressing down through the elbows, pulling the heart towards the sky. And you might find you need to just bring your chin in towards your chest, just a half a centimetre or so. And then there's work to be done here. Although the legs are relaxed, there's enough energy to keep the feet reaching into the heels and the toes up. The inner thighs rolling down, the pubic bone dropping down towards the hands. It's a dynamic, active pose. And then we'll inhale and look forward. And exhale and release, moving the flesh away from your sitting bones. Coming into Paschimottanasana, if you have tight hamstrings, bend your knees, pull on your heels. If the hamstrings are strong, are long, then by all means have the legs straight. Inhale, reach the arms up, palms facing each other. Press your heels down, press your thighs down, lift through your crown. Inhale and lift. And as you exhale, hollow the abdomen and come forward and take what you can. Face soft. And as we are forced to pause, as we are forced to acknowledge that there is no natural way out, no obvious way out of this scenario, no easy end date in sight for us, then we cultivate the capacity to drop into that and settle into not knowing. It's okay not to know. It's okay not to be all right with that for a moment or two. All we can do is keep turning up and doing the work and experiencing Shraddha, the trust that this will be transformational for us. And then we'll inhale and look up. And exhale and release. So lie down on your mats, please. Take your legs apart, let your feet relax out to the sides. The arms away from the body with the palms facing up towards the sky. Take a lovely deep breath in through the nose. And let go with a soft sigh. And again, a deep breath in through the nose. And out with a soft sigh. As the body relaxes, bring your awareness to your breath. The way of experience begins with the breath, such as the breath you are breathing now. Awakening into the luminous reality may dawn in the momentary throb between any two breaths. The breath flows in, and just before it turns to flow out, there is a flash of pure joy. Life is renewed. Awaken into that. As the breath is released and flows out, there is a pulse as it turns to flow in. And in that turn, you are empty. Empty into that emptiness as the source of all life. Taking a long, slow, deep breath in and out of your body. Wriggle your fingers and your toes. take a lovely stretch. Just without moving a muscle, smile inwardly to yourself here. And take the warmth of that smile and embrace the day ahead with all its mystery and all its unknown. Bend your knees and roll over to your right hand side. And then bring yourself slowly to sitting. Pause for a moment, becoming the embodiment of these teachings, the embodiment of these times. And on your next in-breath, reach your hands up into the prayer position above your head. And draw our prayer of Shraddha, of trust in this process, down into our thoughts, into our words, and into our hearts. And give yourself a little bow. Om Shanti 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 Om. Have a lovely day. Thank you for joining me.